State Juvenile Detention Board of Managers. Could we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Joining us remotely today, we have Dr. Taylor. Dr. Taylor, can you hear us? We'll come back to Dr. Taylor. Ms. Schaefer? Okay. Can you just give us a verbal?
Yes, I'm here.
Vice Chair Marie Williams?
I'm here.
And Judge Nichols? Oh, he's not on. Okay. Interesting. All right. Dr. Taylor, are you on?
Yeah, hello, I'm here.
Okay, thank you. I'd also like to mention that we did have an executive session yesterday of the board to discuss matters that were pertaining to public safety. Moving on to our first round of public comment. Are there members of the public who would like to address the board at this time? Hearing none, we'll move on to an approval of the July, this should be the August meeting minutes. What was the date of the August? Just August 6th. No. It was July? Okay, well, then I'm staying corrected. Is there an approval of the minutes? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Yeah, we had a meeting in August. Yeah. Right, so it's good as stated here. Yeah. We have a motion and a second. Is there any question or comment on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. And with that, we'll move on to the monthly detained youth report from the Juvenile Court and Probation Services.
Good evening, Danielle DiMatteo from Juvenile Court and Probation Services. For our juveniles in custody, we have one at Adelphi, one at Abraxas, and for our direct files, sorry, we had a couple of releases over the last 24 hours. For our direct files, we have one male at Abraxas and two males at George Jr., as well as two males on the juvenile unit at the local jail.
All right, thank you, Director DiMatteo. Any questions for her? No. If not, we'll move on to the report from the Juvenile Detention Rehab Services Director.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Nelson Walker, Interim Director, Juvenile Detention and Rehabilitation Services. The first thing that I want to speak about is the grant that we received from the OJJDP. Part of the process is that we have to find a program coordinator. We also have to find someone to evaluate our process to make sure that we are practicing an efficient and effective way. So we put out for interviews to bring someone on as a contractor with us. They will not be hired by the county. They're not an employee of the county, but they are just a contractor or a consultant for our process. The 3 interviews, the person who was selected was Dr. Sam Williams, who is a professor at Lincoln University. One of the things that we had in our process, we wanted someone with lived experiences, and Dr. Williams has lived experiences with the justice system. He was adjudicated as a youth and participated in the program Be Proud. And now he is on the board of Be Proud. So he is a real life story of how great initiatives and practices within our juvenile justice system can positively impact someone and allow them to not only strive ahead, but to be competitive. He's earned his doctorate degree. He's a professor at Lincoln. He took a $1.5 million grant at Lincoln University and created something called the Linkubator, where young people, it's an incubator. They have 3D printers, they have a store, they have many things there that will just help you to grow your entrepreneurial spirit. And it is backed by several big brands and companies here, not only in Pennsylvania, but nationally. He also created an after-school program, a music program, which if you look back at our CCLP survey that we conducted, a lot of the things that young people had asked for were pro-social activities, the opportunity to participate. So that is one thing that he's going to bring to this process, along with his vast knowledge and understanding of what young people experience. Another thing that he is wants to do quickly, but we have to work with OJJDP to get through the process, is build a website. He said a lot of people will talk from his lived experience in the room when we do focus groups and we bring the community in, but there are a lot of people who may not feel comfortable speaking in that environment. So he wants to create a setting, a website where you can pour things in, you can say things, you can bring ideas, and you can rebut maybe things that we say. And that data, we'll have to work with OJJDP to deal with that because it is their grant and the information that comes off of it belongs to them. So we'll work through that. So monthly, he will report out on the progress that we're making in this meeting to show what we're doing, what we're gaining, how the process is working, till we get to the end of it and have a better understanding of what our goal is to create a sustainable assessment center. We'll have to change the name because it has to be evidence-based practice in Pennsylvania. So in Pennsylvania, you have to give it a name that falls under that type of lingo and that can be seen. And we can also put in our needs-based budget because with evidence-based practice, we'll get a greater reimbursement. The next thing that I want to speak to is our shelter. So I have a PowerPoint that will speak to the shelter that we intend to put in place at Clock Tower. We have received a proposal from Clock Tower about services, the services that they're able to offer us, medical, educational, after-school programming, recreational, and laundry, housekeeping, all the things that you would need to run a shelter. Because we're doing it on their site, what we wanted to do is not reinvent the wheel, but we want to find out what services we'll be able to purchase from them and work along with them to get these things done. So right now, that proposal sits in our solicitor's office, and we'll begin to work on that. So when you look at it, community-based detention is designed to provide short-term residential care to youth who are accused or adjudicated of juvenile offenses and who are awaiting pending court action or awaiting transfer to another facility. One thing we're going to work on is naming the space because we want the name to hold some value. We want young people to be able to participate in the naming process. And we want it to not only stand this year, but years down the line, it will hold meaning and hold a purpose to what we're attempting to do. Delaware County is working to implement standards that will supplement the Department of Human Services placement care delinquent standards that are consistent with Title 55 Code, PA Code Chapter 3800 regulations and the Prison Rape Elimination Act. Because of defunding that has occurred recently, the Prison Rape Elimination Act is nothing that we have to file. It's just considered best practice now. It's nothing that you can be held accountable for or that you have to fund. We're waiting to solidify our contract with our architect. This is the space when you first walk into the facility. This is just a day room, a common area. If you look straight ahead in that door, that would lead you into the restroom. This is another look at the common area. That hall that you would be peering down is one of the halls where the bedrooms are located for the young people. And as you would stand there, if you turn in the other direction, you'd look down another hall that would show you bedrooms. This is another look at the common space. When you look in, that window would be an office where our staff could do reports, could sit, where we could keep our surveillance, our camera system, and any other thing that we would need electronic monitoring with. This is the shower area. If you look at it, we'll probably have to make some adjustments in there. I'm not very comfortable with how those bars are with the rods. It creates a space or an opportunity for someone to create a ligature. And one thing, we don't want to create hazards for young people that could lead to something serious happening. This is the outdoor space. Obviously, we'll work on it, but there's great space out there for us to do as much as we want, to have recreation space, to do whatever is needed to help the group. This is just a look at the facility from behind. We probably would never have kids in this area. This is a bedroom. All the furniture is attached to the wall. We don't initially intend to have bunk beds. Bunk beds is something that we could use if we were overcrowded. But what we want to have is just 2 young people in the room. You could actually put 4 to 6 young people in those rooms if we had bunk beds in them. But we want to give everybody a starting space where there are 2 people in the room. And sometimes there are young people who have different issues that they may need to be in a room by themselves. That's a singular bed in a singular room. That's how we would start out. All the rooms would have those mono beds, not a bunk bed, and there would be one on one side of the wall and one on the other. Until we needed to put 2 in a room, we would try to keep them singular. That's the storage space that's in the room. All that furniture, the closets, the dressers are attached to the wall so that they don't present a hazard of falling over or being pulled over. And this is a look at a room. So as you look at there are 4 young people that could be in there, but where the person is standing, where I was standing taking the picture, there's another bunk bed. So you could actually have 6 young people in there if need be. That's the bathroom. And if you see those rods on top, that presents an issue for us. We'd have to address that before moving in because that creates a point of ligature. Those are the bathrooms. If you were able to look close, you'd see that those ligature points have been addressed on the urinals and on the faucets under the sink so that you're unable to put anything in there. You can't stick clothing through. You can't put a sheet through to tie onto that. This is the bathroom. Over the next few months, staff will be working to gain all necessary permits and licenses to begin operations. An application will be submitted to the Pennsylvania Department of Human Services for a certificate of compliance, and applications take normally 3 to 6 months for processing. Any questions?
I have a question. I was wondering, is there a list of the permits that will be sought anywhere?
Yes.
If I could get that after the meeting,
That's
getting
fine.
back into the swing of it. So thank you.
I'll get that over to you.
Nelson, can you give a little bit more clarity around what's intended to be, you spoke about it a little bit at the outset, but what Clock Tower would operate versus what the county would be directly operating? Like what elements of
What services?
Yeah.
Like we'll be the staff that will work daily interacting with the young people.
Okay.
That'll be our staff. The only services that we would purchase from Clock Tower would be housekeeping, laundry, perhaps medical, kind of outside services that will just supplement what we're doing.
But the core programming would
core
be
programming
directly
would be
run.
conducted by
Okay.
County officials.
So Nelson, as you mentioned, the issues with the rides and things like that, is the architect working on other models that can provide
Examples. that we
examples
could
privacy
replicate.
without the rides and things like that? I'm not
Yes.
sure how you do that, but
Mhm. I mean, in a lot of spaces I had previously been in, we actually put Velcro up and it would Velcro to the ceiling and you can move it back and forth. So there are a lot of options that have been put in place that there are a lot of spaces I can take people to look at so that they can see that we have different options. There's probably about 6 different options that we can do with things to address those rods and those hazards that are currently in place.
I have a question, Nelson. What are the interventions that you're planning with your team to engage the youth to avoid AWOLing and to also ensure the community that the youth that are sent there are safe as well as the community?
I think the thing is, we know in shelter care, all we can do is put a delayed egress on the doors, but all of the staff will be trauma informed in their care. We intend to use CBT. We'll have mental health assistance, but we want to engage, constantly interact and talk with our young people so that we can have an idea of where they're at, what their mood is, what they're thinking about, because young people have 24 hours a day to think about what's going on in their lives. That troubles them. You might be there for 8 hours, but they're still thinking about what's going on when you leave. They're thinking about what's going on in their life prior to you getting there. So it's important that our staff are skilled at engaging, are skilled at working through issues. And when they see things that they're not capable of handling, that they pass that off to someone who has the skill set to resolve the issue. Yes, sir, Judge.
It's been very impressive just to see the facility even before the change in the program. Is there any other county that's doing anything similar to this?
Well, there are a lot of counties have shelter care. Berks, Monco, Chester County, they have shelter care. So it's very similar. Some people separate it where they have adjudicated youth in one space and dependent youth in another space. You can house them together. The crucial thing is to know that shelter care is a short term. It's a 30-day process. So whatever we're going to do for the young people, we want to stabilize them and get them prepared for their next step or to return wherever they were.
So just to hit that more on the head, so the difference between shelter care and community detention is what?
It's the same.
It is.
It's the same. It's just a type of, it's just the child that you have there and what they either have been charged with, or for a dependent child, they just may not have anywhere to go.
Would you clarify that by shelter care and detention, it being a locked facility versus
Well,
not
secure detention.
secured?
Locked. Yeah.
Sure.
Secure detention is locked.
Yeah, we're not talking about
Yeah.
secure detention. So
We're just talking about-
community-based detention.
Community-based detention, it's shelter care.
Oh, it is the same. It's literally the
shelter
same.
care. Yes.
Okay, so it's a different term for
Yeah,
this.
it's just terminology.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you were saying that there was some difference, but okay.
Did I answer? Okay.
Any other questions?
I guess, maybe again, I'm jumping ahead, but the process for getting the staff to be up to speed for what we're talking about here, because it's not, again, the difference between detention and shelter. So the mindset has to be
Yeah.
different, and, the preparation for that. Do we have plans in place to kind of help move that process forward as we get to, I know we're not there yet, but I'm just saying as we're getting closer to it.
Our intent, I've already started speaking to trainers, because our intent is to give our staff the same layout of 6 weeks of training that you would have before you worked in security detention. And I think it's a little more challenging to work in shelter, because in shelter, I could physically break up a fight, stop young people from fighting, but I can't physically stop a young person from leaving. We can have delayed egresses on the door, but if a child decided to leave, we'd have to address it through the process that's in place, whether it's putting out a bench warrant, contacting probation, contacting the local police. But our staff have to be skilled enough to be able to talk to a young person to try to get them through that angst or whatever they're experiencing that would make them want to leave. So that's 6 weeks of training and ongoing training after they're hired is going to play a key role in how well equipped they are to address the issues that they will face. Children panic, adults panic. And sometimes you don't want to be where you are.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Somebody could be there in shelter care and not necessarily be anyone that's been adjudicated delinquent, right?
Yes, sir.
So you have, and I'm not trying to pigeonhole, but a child who has issues with family, emotional, et cetera, as opposed to someone who has, in addition to that, juvenile charges.
Yeah.
Does that make it a little bit more challenging for those people who would be dealing with these young folks?
I don't think, like one thing, you kind of never really know what a child is there for. Like, you know, if a child has high-end behavioral health issues or things like that, you treat kids kind of similarly. Obviously, if you know a child is more explosive, has a greater intent towards inclination towards certain things, you try to prep your team on how to deal with that. But I would say that what a child is there for, whether the backgrounds are all similar, just one has stepped over the line a little bit more, shouldn't really prevent you from treating, teaching, coaching, and helping them through counseling in any way, shape, or form.
Who would be the referral source for a presentation like that for a child who doesn't have any charges or a petition? Who's the
Oh,
referral source? Like
CYS.
CYS, got it.
Can I ask sort of a more global question here? It feels like we've been headed in this direction for kind of years now. This board has been heading down the path of increased investment and focus on community detention in this type of shelter care venue, and and providing secure detention in when it's absolutely necessary through contracted services elsewhere. And I feel that we've had success in doing that and being able to address that need with that contracted care. Now we're getting to a stage where we're moving to getting licensing and on a particular site. And I'm just trying to get my head around, like, do we have to, or have we at some point made an actual recommendation and plan and announced this is what we're doing? Or do we need to do that at some point?
We've been here every week, I think, and announced it. I don't know if we have to do something out officially to the community, say this is what we're doing. Every month we've come here and kind of said what our intent is, what our goal is, and what we plan on doing. It's not an issue to put something out or make an announcement.
Yeah, Lane, I'm not sure what exactly, I mean, we certainly have been discussing this for months. Is there some?
Right. It's not a transparency issue to me. To me, I'm asking, maybe this is a legal question, like if we're going to go ahead and contract with a facility and invest in retrofitting it and getting it licensed for us to use, is that this board has the authority to do that?
No, that contract would go to county council, Elaine. I mean, I think this board is helping to flesh out what would be brought forth. And my expectation would be once something is at the point of council action, council, and obviously the three of us wear, two different hats. I would think that we would want to hear from this board a formal recommendation of it. But ultimately, like any other contract, it goes to county council.
So, and that will happen when we go ahead and spend money on getting licensed?
Yeah,
That's
when
when
there's
that will happen?
it's ready for approval.
I think that as we work through the process with Clock Tower, with the office, and we try to figure out what's going on, that will play a major part in the announcement and what goes before county council.
Okay, and this is for everybody. Did I articulate that as what everybody else perceives as the path we're taking?
I certainly think so.
Yeah, I believe so.
Everyone on the board's had ample opportunity over the past year plus to say, I disagree with this that direction, and I haven't heard that. So, yeah.
Okay, good. All right. I'm glad to hear that. Thanks.
I just want to note for just sort of for the record, but I did have a delegate on the board for some time, and that delegate's been promoted into the county, which is great. So I'm just getting back, although she would report back to me but she stood in for me. So I am still catching back up with where the board's at, just so everyone knows that. So I might be following up with some additional questions, okay?
Not a problem.
I'll do that outside the meeting.
Thank you, Controller. Anything else for Director Walker?
Oh, very good.
Thanks, Nelson.
Thank you.
Any old business or new business from board members? Is there any public comment for today? Any last board member comment? All right, is there a motion to adjourn so we can leave the fridge that we're sitting in?
So.
Is the motion a second? All in favor? Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? We are adjourned.